In today's climate of hyperspeed trend cycles, TikTok aesthetics, core culture, and algorithmic dressing, longer-lasting trends like quiet luxury and a return to tailoring signal to me that men are craving coherence, clarity, and craft. I was reminded of this very recently when I took a look at my very old copy of the official Preppy Handbook. In 1980, Lisa Birnbach published this satirical guidebook, and it became a cultural phenomenon. The timing couldn't have been more perfect, as American culture was emerging from the chaotic 70s and swinging toward conservatism and electing Ronald Reagan into office. And I think, just like today, a lot of people wanted to feel a sense of stability and tradition, even if it was just superficial and based on outward appearances. The Preppy Handbook offered just that, a glimpse into a segment of society that rarely changed its style codes, if ever, as well as a roadmap for how to emulate the lifestyle. And despite the fact that the book was meant as satire, it was presented in a way that was achievable for those on the outside. What specific items to wear, in what context, and why. As an impressionable 11-year-old, I didn't read this book as satire. I actually saw it as an instruction manual for how to elevate my style and escape the hell that was my uniform of bell-bottomed Sears Toughskins and polyester Dickie sweaters. So today on Peter's Prism, we're going to revisit this now 45-year-old book and what it defines as fashion fundamentals, the 10 underlying principles for men and women. I will review each of the 10 principles and explain how these timeless ideas, in my opinion, are now more relevant than ever. So stick around and I'll explain how they can help you think of your wardrobe and your personal style in a new yet old way. So pull out your Sperry topsiders and Madras shorts and let's get started. Hey everyone, and welcome back. When I was a kid, I studied the official Preppy Handbook like it was the Bible. For me, it represented an aspirational way of dressing that would transport me out of the misery of public school in Chicago and into the finer, cooler world of old world East Coast style. Today, preppy style is unquestionably a ubiquitous influence of a lot of contemporary fashion. Think about button-down shirts and rep ties at Thom Browne, ribbon details at Dries Van Noten, school uniformish looks at Miu Miu, and streetwear brands like Aimé Leon Dore, Noah, and Rowing Blazers are essentially repackaging prep style for a younger, more diverse, and style-savvy audience, combining rugby shirts, loafers, and varsity jackets with streetwear silhouettes. Preppy is everywhere. The aesthetics fundamentals are now deeply woven into today's menswear, whether you're rocking ALD loafers or a Uniqlo OCBD, you're probably a lot preppier than you realize. And this is why when I was recently pruning a bookshelf and took a stroll down memory lane with the official Preppy Handbook, I was struck by how relevant the fundamentals of style chapter still is today. Beyond being foundational to preppy style, it's actually a great way to look at your clothing today, to help you move past disposable fast fashion and confusing and very temporary trends to a more grounded approach to style that is more timeless and can help you achieve the kind of nonchalant elegance that is inherent in true prep circles. If you find this video helpful, informative, or even mildly amusing, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a big thumbs up. And please consider becoming a channel member. It will go a long way to helping me continue to make quality content like this, and you'll get access to special perks like members-only videos. Just click the join button below to learn more. Now onto the first fundamental. Number 1, conservatism. Preppies wear clothes for 25 years and no one can tell the difference. The fabrics, the cuts, the colors are the same year after year after year. A kilt from 1958, a 10-year-old tweed overcoat, a 3-button suit bought in 1940 can all be worn until they fall apart. When Lisa Birnbach wrote these words, she was asserting that preppy style avoids extremes. Clothes are traditional, unassuming, and quietly expensive. If anything changes, it takes many, many years for even the subtlest of change to take hold, if they do at all. And there's something quietly powerful about the principle of conservatism in style. It resists the constant churn of fashion cycles, grounding you in pieces that transcend trends. You're not chasing novelty, you're cultivating a personal uniform, one that is built on garments with enduring silhouettes and timeless proportions. Sure, color palettes may shift and patterns might evolve, but the foundational pieces remain, and in that consistency, a distinct voice emerges. A wardrobe like this doesn't scream for attention, it speaks in a calm, steady tone that deepens over time. This goes beyond stereotypical ideas of preppy garments like madras shorts or navy blazers. Classic cuts have stood the test of time for good reason. We return to them again and again and again because they served us well the first time around decades ago. There's also dignity in wearing clothes until they show their age. Even then, there's beauty in repair, whether it's a frayed collar, a darned elbow, or a visible mend. These signs of wear don't detract from your style, they enrich it. As I explored in my recent video on Bodhi and sentimental craftcore, preservation and restoration can become a form of personal storytelling. In that way, conservatism isn't about rigidity, it's about longevity, values, and memory woven into fabric. Buying clothes with a conservative mindset means buying with intention, not impulse. You're not chasing trends, you're building a wardrobe that lasts. So stick to classic silhouettes, natural fibers, and a cohesive palette. Choose quality over quantity and only buy what fits your lifestyle and your personal style. The goal isn't to look flashy, it's to look like you every single time you walk out the door. Think thoughtful, timeless, effortlessly consistent. The white Oxford cloth button-down shirt from J Press perfectly embodies the conservatism principle because it resists trendiness and favors quality over flash and remains virtually unchanged for decades. Rooted in Ivy League tradition, its classic collar roll, durable cloth, and versatile styling reflect a commitment to timelessness and quiet confidence. It's not meant to stand out, it's meant to endure, offering a consistent, understated foundation that allows personal style to emerge through subtlety rather than spectacle. This principle in general resonates deeply with me because it mirrors the kind of design I return to time and time again, design that endures. Think of the restrained elegance of Dieter Rams's industrial work, the sculptural clarity of mid-century modern furniture, or the rigorous structure of Swiss graphic design. These movements aren't just relics of the past, they've become benchmarks of timelessness. And contemporary designers still riff on these foundations, but their core principles remain intact because they were built to last. Visually, functionally, and philosophically. Just like a well-worn blazer or a classic button-down Oxford shirt, these designs aren't about flash, they're about refinement, intention, and quiet confidence. Values that will never go out of style. Number 2, neatness. Except for a brief period of rebellion during secondary school, preppy shirts stay tucked in through all kinds of strenuous exercise. Shoes are polished, socks stay up. Sweaters are patched the moment holes appear in the elbows. Even when casual, prep style has always been tidy. Why is this so appealing? Because someone who has taken care to groom themselves and appear neat signals self-control, discipline, rigor, and self-respect. These are hallmarks of a polished individual, someone who automatically feels more trustworthy based on these superficial details. In the official Preppy Handbook, neatness wasn't just about looking tidy, it was a form of quiet self-respect. It meant knowing how to tuck in a shirt, shine your shoes, and walk out the door looking like you made a decision, not like you lost a bet. Neatness is akin to good alignment, white space, and hierarchy in design. Yes, there was a moment in the 90s when David Carson and ray gun and chaotic design was a thing, but that came and went. And I don't know about you, but legibility is kind of important. A neat website or app is readable. Everything about it is intentional and designed to communicate clearly, and a neat outfit does exactly that. Through tailored trousers, well-fitted chore jackets, clean shoes, and clean lines always trump chaos. Shopping with neatness in mind means choosing clothes that help you look intentional, composed, and well-edited. Avoid items that look sloppy by design, overly distressed, oversized, or sagging silhouettes. Choose structured jackets over shapeless ones, pants with a defined waist and hem, shirts that can be tucked or layered without bulk. You don't need to dress formally, just deliberately. And neatness isn't about being rigid, it's about sending the subtle message that you pay attention and that your appearance reflects care, not chaos. Number 3, attention to detail. Subtleties of cut, weave, or color distinguish the merely good from the prep. A small percentage of polyester in an Oxford cloth shirt or a lapel that's a 1/4 of an inch too wide can make all the difference. Cuff buttons on a suit jacket that can actually be unbuttoned are the hallmark of the natty dresser. Everything matches. Some preppies go so far as to change their watch bands every day. A lot of traditionally preppy attire signals status through details. Think about things like shell buttons, needlepoint belts, monograms, or grosgrain trim. These are quiet ways that preps communicate to others in the know that they're members of the tribe. Think of details like this as coded language. As fast fashion continues to flood the marketplace, details like this are getting lost because it's just too expensive to produce. But discerning followers of fashion and style understand and appreciate this kind of design precision. And it doesn't have to overwhelm your closet. It can be as simple as a watch strap, the stitching detail on a shirt, the roll of a jacket shoulder. There are an infinite number of details that you can choose to introduce into your everyday looks. Why is this important? Subtlety and precision in details can be a powerful differentiator in a sea of fast fashion and visual noise. Small touches indicate to other people that you've considered what you're wearing, and that automatically sets you apart from someone wearing this week's look from a Zara haul. It can also help better reflect and individualize your own style. For example, 2 men can wear the same blue blazer, but how one pairs it, the pocket square, the watch, the button stance, tells a very different story. Details are how you speak in your own accent. Attention to detail is less about money and more about mindset. It's the art of refining rather than flaunting. And in today's style landscape, that quiet confidence is more relevant than ever. So, a few things to bear in mind when you're trying to apply this to your own closet or if you're going shopping. Look for interesting details like buttons and jacket linings. Get items tailored to fit you properly. The way a $10 thrifted shirt sits on your body can make it look 20 times more expensive. Pay closer attention to texture and finish. Fabrics like slub cotton or brushed twill can go a long way to evoking quiet luxury instead of logos. Also pay attention to your accessories. A clean leather belt amplifies your style as opposed to one that's beat up and peeling. A simple, understated watch and even good socks also go a long way to adding polish to even the most basic outfit. And if you're someone who struggles with color, stick with versatile neutral colors that work well with one another. Muted classic shades in olive, navy, and beige, for example, make it a lot easier to coordinate pieces and create multiple looks that feel considered as opposed to thrown on randomly. Any designer will agree that micro refinements in design, like kerning and leading, or micro interactions like hover states, can take an otherwise average-looking piece of work and really make it sing. And that's why details matter. So make sure you keep this in mind when you think how impactful you want your look to be. If you're making the effort, why stop at the details? Number 4, practicality. Prep clothes are sensible. Rain clothes keep you dry, winter clothes keep you warm, collars are buttoned down so they don't flap in your face when you're playing polo. Layering is a natural response to varying weather conditions. It goes without saying that clothing should be practical, which is why this principle is so foundational to modern fashion. Khaki pants that restrict movement are about as useless as a raincoat that does not repel rain. And although you're probably not going to run into issues with your shirt collars flapping into your face because you're playing polo, items in your closet should be a little more practical than a single-use item like a tuxedo. A great example of this is a navy blazer. The classic model from J Press embodies the practicality principle so well because it's endlessly versatile, durable, and appropriate across a wide range of settings, from job interviews and dinners to casual weekends when dressed down. Its natural shouldered cut ensures comfort and ease of movement, while the timeless style means it won't date. It's a garment you can wear for decades, pairing effortlessly with everything from khakis to jeans, proving that practicality and elegance aren't mutually exclusive. Another perfect example of practicality is this Bleu de Chauffe germinal work jacket. It's made from 100% certified organic cotton moleskin, woven in France, and the jacket offers a fabric that's both tough and breathable, suitable for various weather conditions. It's straight cut with generous shoulders and ensures ease of movement, while features like the 3 exterior patch pockets and an interior smartphone-sized pocket provide ample storage for daily essentials. The design incorporates workwear elements with modern touches, such as a suit-style shirt collar, making it versatile enough to transition between casual and more formal settings. This combination of thoughtful construction and adaptable style makes it a practical choice for those seeking both function and form in their wardrobe. I love how chore coats like this can easily be dressed up or down, and with light layering are perfect seasonal transitional garments. Today, a lot of brands have taken practicality to heart, especially when you look at the biggest players in the categories like techwear, gorpcore, and especially athleisure. The base assumption among many brands that occupy this space is that folks are commuting, working, traveling, going directly from the gym to dinner out. I'm personally not a huge fan of non-natural fibers, though I do understand why some men need or want them in their closets. So when you're applying the practicality principle, you should ask yourself, does this piece work hard enough for me? Look for garments that are versatile across settings, easy to care for, and built to last. And when you're shopping, prioritize items that pair well with multiple things you already own and suit your real life, not just aspirational moments. When you're pruning your wardrobe, let go of those clothes that are fussy, fragile, or only work in hyper-specific contexts. Wearing a pair of shoes once a year is not practical. Practicality is about dressing with intention, ease, and longevity in mind. I think the practicality principle in fashion is like good UX design. It prioritizes the user's real-life needs. Just as UX designers aim to create interfaces that are intuitive, efficient, and adaptable across contexts, practical clothing should be easy to wear, functional in various situations, and designed with the wearer's lifestyle in mind. In both cases, good design isn't about flash, it's about thoughtful problem solving that quietly makes life better. Number 5, quality. Everything in the wardrobe should be well made. Fine fabrics and sound construction are taken for granted. Hand tailoring is not unusual. Preppy clothes are built to last, since they certainly won't go out of style. Implied in how this principle was stated is that preppies have fewer but better things. Clothes are investment pieces and are possibly handed down or worn for decades. It aligns with the notions of old money, quiet luxury, and good taste. When Birnbach wrote the Preppy Handbook, though, fast fashion was not a thing destroying the environment. And I think this is worth calling out as the focus for when you think about quality in the context of building out your wardrobe. Buying less but better could mean that you won't have 5 fast fashion shirts, but maybe just one. But one that's made out of an organic, natural fiber. It will likely be more costly, but that will be because of quality construction. These kinds of garments are designed to last, and when they start falling apart, they're meant to be and can be repaired. This is one of the reasons why I love the brand Engineered Garments so much. Not only are the clothes made in the US, specifically New York City, they're made in such a way as to be durable. Yes, it's expensive, but I'd rather have one pair of Engineered Garments fatigue pants than 10 fast fashion copies. I've held on to many Engineered Garments pieces long enough at this point to even categorize them as vintage. Which also reminds me that vintage or secondhand shopping is another way that you can exercise the quality principle. Buying secondhand from places like eBay or The RealReal means you're possibly removing something from waste and not contributing to the growing global landfill being created by fast fashion. And just about anything you can imagine can be found on the secondary market. A 100% cotton, white, made in the USA Brooks Brothers Oxford cloth button-down, you can find it on eBay. In fact, with a quick cursory search, I found this one for $50 in excellent condition. And I'd rather invest in this than anything I can find at fast fashion brands. This quality principle is a lot like classic graphic design that has stood the test of time, and very few examples remind me of this more than the New York City subway map. Massimo Vignelli designed this more than 50 years ago, and it remains largely intact. And that is because he was very careful in how he considered how ease of use, clarity of design, and scalability would impact the quality of the user experience. Number 6, natural fibers. Wool, cotton, and the odd bits of silk and cashmere are the only acceptable materials for preppy clothes. They look better, they require professional maintenance, they are more expensive, they are key. Once again, there's an implied old money association with this particular principle, but Birnbach wasn't wrong. Materials like wool, cotton, linen, and silk are staples because they are timeless, they drape beautifully, and they often look just fine even rumpled or in need of a light ironing. It's part and parcel of the prep aesthetic that exudes sprezzatura, or carefree refinement. Natural materials also just age better. Another way to think about this is your work or home environment. What ages more beautifully than materials like wood, marble, or brass? Plastic can't add warmth to a space in the same way that fibers like cotton, wool, or linen offer comfort, durability, and a tactile richness that polyester cannot replicate. So when you seek out natural materials in your garments, you're making a statement about authenticity and longevity in addition to the sensory quality that synthetic fibers just cannot match. So when you're evaluating your wardrobe, prioritize materials that feel good on your skin, breathe well, and age gracefully. And when you're shopping, check garment tags for fibers like wool, cotton, linen, or silk. These will wear better over time and offer more comfort and character than synthetics. Hold on to pieces that still feel and look great after many wears. Chances are they're made from natural fibers. If something always feels sweaty, scratchy, or cheap, it's likely synthetic and might not deserve a permanent spot in your closet. Number 7, Anglophilia. The British have a lot to answer for. Shetland sweaters, Harris tweeds, Burberrys, tartans, regimental ties. British influence runs deep in preppy style. Think tweeds, Barber wax jackets, brogues, Tattersall, Fair Isle, the Barracuda G9 Harrington. The list goes on and on. Prep culture also idealizes Savile Row tailoring. And just like preppy style, these specific design elements have over decades continued to influence modern fashion. If you consider the consistent popularity of Ralph Lauren, Aimé Leon Dore, and Noah, just to name a few, there's no denying the influence of Anglophilia. While I'll admit there is a bit of classicism when I think about how preppy style idolizes British design and craft, the appeal of British heritage brands remains very strong. When you're considering this principle for your own wardrobe, think about it as a nod to heritage, craftsmanship, and quiet sophistication. Things like tweed blazers or waxed jackets have remained the same forever. They add historical depth and cultural heritage to your wardrobe. Having pieces like this signals timeless taste and suggests you appreciate tradition over trend chasing. So if you're shopping, consider traditional fabrics like tweeds, flannels, or corduroys. Look for patterns like houndstooth, Tattersall, or Prince of Wales check. Heritage brands like Barber, John Smedley, and Drake's are obvious go-tos, but so are American heritage brands like J. Press that take a great deal of inspiration from British design. Incorporating Anglophile elements into your looks adds a sense of intention to your style, and that is very attractive when you combine it with the modern ease of American fashion. If you slip on a Harris tweed jacket, for example, know that the wool fabric dates back to the early 19th century, or a Fair Isle pullover, which dates almost as far back. These are quiet signals of refinement, and they can help ground your wardrobe in ways that communicate standing the test of time. I think of this principle the same way I think about using a typeface like Baskerville or Garamond in a design project. Baskerville dates back to 1757. Garamond even further back to the 1500s, and yet they still hold up. You could design an entire identity system using nothing but those fonts, and it would feel grounded, sophisticated, and intentional. They are old, yeah, but they're not outdated, and that's the power of something classic. It doesn't need to chase trends because it was built right the first time. Number 8, specific color blindness. Primary colors and brilliant pastels are worn indiscriminately by men and women alike, in preposterous combinations. In some subcultures, hot pink on men might be considered a little peculiar. Preppies take it for granted. So here's the thing about the preppy principle of specific color blindness. It's not about being oblivious to color, it's about being unbothered by conventional rules. Pink pants with a lime green polo? Go for it. Kelly green with Nantucket red, why not? In the world of prep, these combinations are worn with the confidence of someone who's been doing it for generations. From my perspective, especially after making that video about breaking the so-called rules of color and pattern, this idea is more relevant than ever. Because today, too many men are still defaulting to grayscale minimalism out of fear. Fear of standing out, fear of getting it wrong, but prep flips that fear on its head. It treats bold color the way good design treats contrast, as a feature, not a bug. So when you're shopping with this principle in mind, think less about matching and more about energy. Does a particular sweater color spark something? Does a pair of pants make you smile? Trust it. If it feels like it's too much, wear it anyway and let it settle into your rotation. And if you're pruning your closet, don't automatically toss the loud pieces you never wear. Instead, try anchoring them with something traditional. A navy blazer, a white Oxford cloth button-down shirt, a desert boot. Suddenly, that bold item becomes the punctuation mark in an otherwise classic sentence. And that's the secret. Not shying away from color, but knowing how to ground it. Something that inspired me about this preppy fashion fundamental is that in the design world, intentional color clashing can often work because they're done with intention and not by accident. So the result isn't chaotic, but adds a layer of personality that might be totally absent otherwise. There's an inherent level of confidence that is visible when someone makes a design choice with clashing colors, and that is exactly what makes it memorable. I like to think that the same idea holds true when you throw caution to the wind and just go with your gut in terms of looks, where colors are just worn indiscriminately. Number 9, the sporting look. Even if they've never been near a duck blind or gone beagling, preppies are dressed for it. Rugged outerwear, snake-proof boots, jackets that will keep you warm at 60 degrees below zero, and hardy innerwear, fisherman sweaters and flannel-lined khakis, are de rigueur in even the most sophisticated suburbs. The original preppy wardrobe borrows quite a bit from sports attire. If you think about rugby shirts, polo shirts, and Sperry topsiders, what they all have in common is that their origins are tied to sporting activities. Dressing in part like an athlete, even if you've never participated in a sport, is a big part of the preppy aesthetic, especially those sports that would be considered beyond the reach of most, like sailing, rowing, skiing, or golf. These are sports that signal access and exclusivity. I think it's plainly evident that incorporating sporting motifs into casual everyday wear has grown exponentially in popularity over the years. And if you take athleisure into consideration, it's even much more pervasive. Trends like techwear and gorpcore are also ways that people can signal their fondness to an active lifestyle and the outdoors, even if they've never pitched a tent in their entire lives. Brands like Ralph Lauren have also built entire categories around specific sports. Think Polo Sport, Ralph Lauren RLX. These are all ways that the brand tries to connect with people's aspirational associations with athleticism. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a tale as old as time. You should consider the sporting look as a wardrobe principle not because you're headed to the tennis court or sailing regatta, but because athletic and outdoors-inspired pieces add energy, ease, and casual authority to how you present yourself. This principle doesn't mean full-on gym wear, it's about garments that nod to sport, with structure, heritage, and function built into it. So if you're shopping or editing your wardrobe, look out for rugby shirts, polo shirts, or cricket sweaters. These are the kinds of preppy staples with athletic origins that have polished appeal. Field jackets, waxed cotton coats, or hiking boots are also pieces that began outdoors, but translate beautifully to an urban life. Tailored shorts, boat shoes, and track stripe details, all signaling leisure, but with purpose and poise. What all of this adds is versatility and a certain kind of credibility. These garments suggest you're active, practical, and confident, that you dress with intention, but that you're not trying too hard. You're ready for the weekend, but you still respect yourself. Ultimately, the sporting look gives you permission to be relaxed and refined at the same time. A combination that's both contemporary and timeless. Number 10, androgyny. Men and women dress as much alike as possible, and clothes for either sex should deny specifics of gender. The success of the Lands nightgown is based on its ability to disguise secondary sexual characteristics, while the traditional fit for men's khakis is one size too big. In Birnbach's book, preppy men and women often dress similarly. Button-downs, chinos, and sweaters, for example, are pretty consistent and gender lines blur in very subtle ways. You can look at this as cultural uniformity where blending in is preferred, but you can also see that it's a good design practice. Style becomes neutral and inclusive, adaptable across genders, cultures, and platforms. Androgyny could also be connected to the collegiate and sporting roots of preppy style, where uniforms or uniform-like dressing downplays sexuality and emphasizes conformity. As a guiding principle, it's mind-blowing how prescient this last fashion fundamental was. Let's not forget this was published 45 years ago. Back then, it was more about Oxford shirts and penny loafers being worn by all genders, which of course is still relevant. But today, androgyny occupies personal and political spaces, with fluidity being embraced across mainstream and luxury fashion brands. Telfar, for example, which is famous for its Bushwick Birkin, designs unisex collections that blur the lines between menswear and womenswear with streetwear sensibility and a high fashion mindset. Maison Margiela has a genderless line called Icons that was developed by John Galliano that includes ready-to-wear, leather goods, and even shoes. And anyone who follows fashion on social media can see the influence of androgyny growing in popularity. Men are shopping in the women's aisles and vice versa as silhouettes are becoming more and more fluid. Androgyny in style is a powerful force because it opens up freedom from unnecessary binary rules. Why is something exclusive to women or men? It expands creative possibilities and it reflects the world we actually live in, which is a more honest, inclusive, and open-minded culture. And in fashion, most importantly, it allows men and women to explore new dimensions of style that can truly unlock the potential for real individual expression, not just someone's idea of what you have to wear because you're a specific gender. There are a lot of parallels in the design world that share this spirit, but one that comes to mind immediately for me is Google's Material Design, which is a design system that enables the company to build high-quality digital experiences across all platforms. Yes, it's built on rules, but it's not rigid. The system is so open-ended and smart that you can design something that's functional and exciting, but is also unique to the need while still being cohesive to the brand. And that is not an easy thing to do. But it's very liberating to have that kind of design freedom. Thank you for indulging me with my obsession with the official Preppy Handbook. When I pulled this off my bookshelf, I couldn't wait to tackle it as a larger dialogue around intentional dressing, identity signaling, and design-driven clarity. I know I use the word intentional a lot, but it's an important word for me because I believe that dressing with purpose is a deeply relevant idea today. In this age of fast fashion and digital chaos, the Preppy Handbook's quiet codes offers me a bit of peace, structure, and self-respect. So tell me, which of these 10 principles do you already follow? Or do you think that any are outdated? And if so, why? As always, thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who also dresses with intention. And remember that good design has the power to elevate our lives if we let it. So until next time, stay true to your style and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!